one of the most important things about a garden is having the right tools to work in the garden.
I mean, every gardener needs a long-handled bow rake. That's a given. And a good quality hoe. And a nice leaf rake for cleaning up things. But once you start to get into shovels, it gets a little more complicated. Me, I like stainless steel because I'm not real good at keeping my tools clean and rust-free. I also like to get a good quality shovel, one with a closed back. You can see on this shovel right here, as opposed to this disposable shovel over here. I call them disposable shovels. Yes, because these will break off. These will break off fairly easily in heavy clay soil. So look for a shovel with a heavy closed back. They'll be more expensive,
but long term, you don't have to keep replacing it every year.
Yeah, and I like to keep a little file. This is just a little metal file you can get at the hardware store. I like to keep that handy with me for my shovels and hoes because you can take these things and you can put a nice edge on them as they get dull. And you just want to sharpen the front edge at about a 45-degree angle. So just coming in there and just sharpening it like this. Real simple to do, doesn't take much effort. Do that on a regular basis. You'll keep a nice sharp edge on your tools and it makes digging a whole lot easier. Now, aside from long handle tools, what have you got?
Well, you know, a lot of times not every project you have in the garden is going to require a large tool, so some smaller tools are always handy. You know, finding a good trowel that has a serrated edge to it so that when you're digging in the ground, because our ground is so hard out here, it can actually penetrate, and roots.
Yes.
You know, heck, I like to use the edge of to help me open up even bags while I'm working in the garden.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, to crack things open. My favorite though, and some of my most important tools are going to be a good pair of pruners. You know, I've seen some really inexpensive pruners, but you know, you go to use them in the garden and you can't get anything done.
The blade spreads and then you can't cut anything.
The blade spreads and you're frustrated. It's tearing your plant apart. It's not healthy for the plant. And what's handy is to have a little sharpener so that once again, kind of like your shovel, that we're keeping these blades sharp. It makes it much more effective when you're trying to prune things because you're getting easier on your hand, getting things done, especially because you're not wasting time. My other favorite tool is for those branches while you're cleaning up in the garden that are a little bit larger. You really want a good blade for that, and a good pruning saw should have offset blades so that the sharpness, it rotates on each side of the blade, so when you're cutting you can really get a nice clean cut so you're not tearing at that bark.
Tree saws cut on the pull stroke rather than the push, which is different than wood cutting saws.
So you don't want to just buy any saw that you see in the hardware store. Right. This is very specific. So, you know, good tools just help you get the job done and do it well. Littler trowels that'll help you in the garden, all that stuff for the smaller.
That's my favorite.
For the little smaller projects. I think you've used this a time or two.
That, you know, if you ever need to get some frustrations out, you can take that thing and just whack away at stuff. It's great. But you know where we are going to go is over to the vegetable garden because you've got some tomatoes to plant.
I think it's my favorite vegetable. My kids love it too. So tomatoes are my thing. Also coming up next is Chef Mick, and he's making some ensalada caprese sticks.